You were gonna say something?
What's up, everybody? Me and Abby are going to be commentating here today. We're going to be watching Distance versus Cute Girls. Loading in right into round one is going to be Ever Sleeping. And we're going to see a couple survivor picks. Say hi to the stream, Abby.
Hi, everyone doing? Oh my god, why is my mic cutting out? Okay, there we go. Anyways, so the first bands we're gonna see is a mechanic and a puppeteer. Puppeteer is a really strong kiter who could also potentially run tide, while mechanic will be the main decoder for the team, but however, she did get banned, so they're gonna lock in and set a seer and a professor.
Which I think is pretty good. Seems like they've been watching a lot of IJL. You can see, especially with the bands and picks, leaning more towards a Goatman with the puppeteer band, but we'll see. And I think the other team is expecting that, choosing Professor. Seer's also a great pick. Either that or Antiquarian would have been my recommendation.
I would have loved to see an antiquarian round one. You don't get to see her too often due to her being highly banned because especially the Goatman, she actually does pretty well. Because ideally you can just smack him into cage and it's like you get a free cage break.
And we still might see it. Maybe as this last pick, Grave is a great choice with the Magician ban. I'm definitely thinking it's going to be either a Hullabaloo or Goatman.
I'm anticipating the Goatman, honestly, which if it's a Goatman, the Gravekeeper is going to honestly be perfectly fine. Especially because with the shovels, you can negate damage. The only issue with Gravekeeper that I've personally had is he will just cage, and if he hits you out of shovel, it doesn't count as the cage getting broken. You have to still manually break it. But for the most part, you can still get in pretty okay.
And we're going to see Novelist get chosen. Wow. These are fantastic picks. And the Psychologist ban was smart as well by the Hunter. Now, I'm curious to see what exactly everybody's going to run. I would assume Flywheel.
I'm assuming Sui on the Professor, because he could run Tide, or you could ideally also have the Novelist run Tide.
Yeah, I could definitely see Professor running a Tide Sui or just a full Sui build. And yeah, I guess we'll find out. I mean, you could see his build's named Flywheel, so I'm going to have to assume.
I'm going to have to infer that it's going to be some kind of flywheel.
It's time to concur. I'm really curious to see what the pick is going to be. Hopefully it's meta, because I really do like watching Goatman and Hullabaloo.
I think it's going to be a Goatman. If not, then I'm going to be completely wrong. But I'm guessing based off these bans, it will likely be a Goatman. Unless you want to go off meta, then I mean, hey, there's nothing wrong with that as well. Just this is a pretty strong team comp into a Goatman. I don't know how well it would fare into Hullabaloo, because as someone who Percy? Oh my god. You know what? We're actually gonna go with the off meta pick. I don't even wait, can't you not scale the Percy dash? I'm pretty sure you can.
You can. The issue is with Professor, it's an ability
I don't think you can.
That you cannot, I believe, especially when he's fully charged as well. I mean, I'm not gonna say I am surprised, but it's not a bad pick, especially with Novelist now being countered, depending on how Novelist is used. Seer's still going to be pretty strong as well as Grave. I'm really curious to see what these spawns look like. But you can also see Novelist maybe running Flywheel and Tide based off his build. So I'm really curious to see what the thought process is here. Percy, wow.
No words. I'm not mad. I'm actually kind of happy it's an off meta, but at the same time, I was not expecting a round one Percy at all. Oh, okay. And so we have the Hunter spawning right outside of Dancing Geisha, entrance to Graveyard, and so therefore, the spot that sucks with Novelist and the thing, like as a survivor that spawns in that area, there is a lot of times that you will spawn out in the open, and given that it is a Percy, he can cover a lot of ground fairly quick. So this Novelist might not be able to make it to any potential pallets right away and might be cut off early.
I'd say they probably have about a 40% chance of spawning outside. I think there's about roughly a 60% chance they'll spawn under 2-story, which would allow them a little bit of wiggle room. But I also see Professor potentially being chased here as well, since I believe it would take probably 2 dashes to be there right away. So I mean,
Yeah.
the Percy has a lot of options, to be honest with you. I'm curious to see as well as how they are going to use this Seer Owl after the 20 seconds of the match is up. How they're going to utilize that, and we're going to jump straight into it, Abby.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, because given that the professor spawned there, the professor might also be out in the open. So, given that as well, the professor is also just a very viable chase, and therefore both the professor and the novelist are in danger.
We're going to see the chat skin, and we're going to see him spawn under 2-story as well.
Okay.
And you're going to see him go for the novelist. Wow. Like you said, not really allowing him to go anywhere.
Yeah, you just kind of unfortunately get sandwiched here, and it probably was used early, but unfortunately for the Percy. Oh, but unfortunately
Still
for the
gets
Percy
the
at
hit,
first,
though.
he did not get the hit, but he still did end up getting the hit, and now Novelist is without a book and already hit a few seconds into the game. Oh my god!
My god! What a jump from the Percy, getting me very fast down here. Not really allowing much decoding to be done. And you're going to see him go straight to the Gravekeeper and press the middle cipher. As well as teleport being up in 5 seconds. And hits an amazing jump. Oh my goodness. You could tell this Percy was prepared to go against a meta round 1 team comp.
You can tell this Percy really knows how to play Percy. I'm genuinely impressed. Holy crap.
And Grave is still doing a great job, wasting a lot of time here. Still using his shovel to the best of its ability. End up going up there. Oh!
So we still have the Novelist down. Novelist is approximately 99%, so the Novelist can pick up, but the only issue is there is a potential for TP, and also the Percy is going straight back towards the Novelist, so the Novelist does pick up, the Novelist will most likely instantly die right after. We are going to see TP use, though, on the Professor, so we're going to see how Professor fares into this, because with dashes... Oh,
you cannot scale it, we just found out.
I told you. I told you.
Wow.
Oh, the tram nearly hitting the Percy.
These dashes are looking very clean. He teleported to a Cypher that was 97%, doing an amazing job disrupting Cypher Rush. And we're just going to have to see Novelist make up Kite here to try to buy his team as much time as possible after picking himself up.
Novelist only has about
Great
60%
flywheel.
was able to avoid the sandwich, but unfortunately Percy does have confined, so he cannot go back through the window. But fortunately for the Novelist, that the dodge is, there is a dodge, and he does now have book, but he will still unfortunately die, but he does have a book for rebound in second.
They're able to at least pop 2 Cyphers and do have one at 30%. I'm really curious to see what they do here. Gravekeeper did eventually get healed, as well as their healing Professor. They may just try to sell Novelist and pray that the second Kite is a very, very good makeup one. And you're going to see Seer still has his owl utilized. And you're going to see him chase the Gravekeeper.
Gravekeeper luckily still has a shovel, but unfortunately because there's no pallets, it's really easy for the Percy to catch up and able to hit the Grave. Actually does miss the hit, so Grave does last a little bit longer in the shovel, but unfortunately Grave is now out of items, and so because of that, he is going to be a much easier chase for the Percy. And unfortunately he gets sandwiched. So now the Gravekeeper is going to be able to rotate back towards Corner House, but unfortunately most of the distance that you can gain from a Percy is instantly just caught up due to his dashing, and it looks like potentially this Gravekeeper is going to go down in the next second. Oh, the Percy got stuck? Okay. Actually gets
but it does not matter. Wow. Amazing job by this Percy, and that's going to be Gravekeeper's second down. I do believe he still has self-heal at play. And teleport is up, and we're going to see that happen on the Seer right now. Seer does have Flywheel and his Owl. Very curious to see how he's going to utilize it here.
Going to use the Owl to avoid the Pancake, actually, luckily. So this actually does work pretty well in favor of the Seer, and the Seer does luckily still have Flywheel to try to Flywheel a potential dash. Going into a narrow alleyway, however, and actually...
Percy loves...
Yeah, capitalizes, and unfortunately, the Seer does still luckily have Flywheel, but was unfortunately given a hit. And now the Percy's actually going to swap and is able to find the dead on chair, or dead on down Gravekeeper, I could say.
Who was dead instantly if hit.
Oh my god.
Did not actually get out of the range. Amazing job by this Percy knowing the abilities to the max. And with still 2 ciphers left, with only one at 54%, this is a very tough situation to come back from. They do know dungeon is middle, so they could try to play for the 1-man. And you can see Seer hiding at 11 right now, communicating where the hunter will be going. Professor trying to push another cipher as best as they can. Ooh, and an amazing dodge by the Professor.
Enough for these survivors, you actually cannot get chaired by Percy. So because of that, there is a potential for the 1-man escape due to dungeon. Good flywheel from the Professor to avoid the dash hit, but there is a potential for a 1-man escape. But given that, wait, that unfortunately still given a hit though, and there is still only 1 cipher that needs to be decoded. Given that our 4th cipher is about to be popped, but there still is 1 full cipher that needs to be decoded, so this is intentionally looking in favor for the Percy. Oh, gets the terror shock as well, so now Seer has to be able to kite, and also gonna have to be able to do that final cipher.
We're gonna see a good teleport, just trying to get Tinnitus at this point to find the Seer. A little lost right now. Seer doing an amazing job rotating into the Professor, possibly going for a heal. And we're gonna see that at this point, giving no Tinnitus at Fate Gate, he's going to start to leave, head towards middle, and they were able to heal up the Professor, both heading separate ways. And again, I do believe they do have a high chance. Unfortunately, if you do not know, Percy can change the dungeon location, but you're going to see him commit to the Professor.
Unfortunately, Professor really has nothing to work with here besides having to try to go around the walls. Luckily able to
that was an amazing bait by the Professor.
No, honestly. All
Still has scale up. Wonder how he's going to use it here. Can't use it on dash. Used it too early.
It's too early.
So unfortunate.
Unfortunate for the Seer, however, the dungeon is middle, so this will be a bit more of a difficult dungeon spot, and it looks like the Percy might potentially move the location. No, he's actually just gonna opt out and just search for the Seer because he knows as soon as he gets the Seer down, it will be a guaranteed 4K for him.
And did just get Tinnitus from the Seer as well as the Blood Trail. At this point, it's gonna be really tough. Still has Firewall in use. Doesn't use it, but the Professor does pick himself up. Wow. Playing the long game here.
Percy, he actually knows where the dungeon is, and although the Professor does also know where, the Professor does not have skill up for another 5 seconds. And is going to be eventually just chased away from the dungeon, and it's just going to have to try to wait out the cooldown. Unfortunately, does not get the skill off, however, and this is going to be a 4K likely.
Wow, it's just an amazing job by the Percy here.
The Percy is actually going to stand over dungeon, and if the Seer gets way too close, he's just going to end up just changing the location.
And the Seer still can't pick himself up. Yes, and Flywheel in use here. Very curious to see how he's going to play this one.
He won't be able to pick up in time. He won't bleed out just yet.
Potentially, hear me out. I know this may sound crazy, but if dungeon spawns Fate Gate,
I don't think that Percy's going to move it, though. I think he's just going to keep on chasing.
Flywheel here.
Oh,
nice Flywheel.
Oh!
Couldn't get the pallets done, but it doesn't matter. Wasn't able to bait here. In a tough situation here, can Seer get the dungeon? It's looking grim. And you're going to see the 4K from the Percy. Amazing gameplay. Wow.
I'm honest to God really shocked at those dashes. Like, I didn't know you could jump like that. I don't know if this Percy's on PC. If so, that would make a lot more sense, given, like, I know PC Percy is a bit more... You're a little bit more advanced on it.
A little bit more versatile, I believe.
Yeah, but oh my God. That Percy just dominated them. That
very,
well
very
played by the survivors,
gameplay.
but I have never seen a Percy play like that. I'm genuinely impressed.
Yeah, they did their best, especially being in a, down situation. Cypher Rush was really well, only having 1 remaining, but it's very hard when you play certain characters that do get countered, especially people like Professor, a Novelist. When half that team is countered, there's not really much you can do, especially if you're one of the first chases. So again, amazing job by the Professor, Seer, even Gravekeeper and Novelist. It's just Percy OP, I guess. That's why I don't like him in my rank match.
No, it's actually I don't know if the person who played Gravekeeper, I'm not fully sure if they had a FO, but honestly, it's actually really good that they went a Gravekeeper, given it was a Percy, because the thing with Gravekeeper into Percy, you just can negate more damage. While yes, however, with watches, you can kind of confuse the hunter on where exactly you're going, but ultimately with the shovels, you can just negate more damage. And personally, I just like it better. I just like Gravekeeper better into a Percy when I do get him in my rank matches.
Yep, and then I mean, I guess that is true. Also, one thing to keep in mind about the game that is a 5-0 for distance right now, and Novelist will not be globally banned, which means Seer, Gravekeeper, and Professor will not be allowed to be used going into round 2 for that team. Cute girls. Wow. Amazing gameplay. I'm curious to see what we're going to see here. Do you think we're going to get a meta hunter, Abby, or do you think it's going to be another non-meta hunter?
Honest to God, I was gonna say meta, but like after witnessing a round one Percy, I'm not sure. You know what I kind of do want to see though, because I've seen this in other tourneys, especially like community tourneys. The round one
Please
Mad
don't say
Eyes.
Mad Eyes. Oh
Yes,
God.
listen. I love Mad Eye's gameplay just because it's like so long, and it's just as someone who's literally had to do a Mad Eyes match, it's just so grueling. Like I feel bad, but it's also just entertaining because you just get to watch a little old man just sit there on the console for the entire time and just cage off people.
I think it's definitely like thrilling in a way watching it, but going against it is one of those things that,
Going against it makes me
you
want
know,
to like cry. It makes me want
you
to
just
cry.
sigh, because you get to a certain point, whether it's early game, mid game, or late game, there's just nothing you can do most of the time. At least
Yeah,
for
especially on
me.
Ever Sleeping, he has a few chairs that are really good camping, such as the outside. Both actually outside of graveyard chairs are really strong camping chairs for Mad Eyes, and also the corner chair near Fake Gate. That one's really strong as well. So, if we potentially do see a Mad Eyes, he might be able to capitalize off of that really well.
Now that's what you want to see. Now, as far as what I want to see either Hullabaloo or Goatman. I really want to see Hullabaloo because I love watching Double Surprise, which is his ability with his clone. When it
Hmm.
hits successfully, and people either get terror shocked or insta hit with 3 balls, stuff like that is just very satisfying to me. So, and I do want to see Fire Investigator, but hopefully he gets picked. Who do you want to see on the Survivor side,
I
Abby?
want to see Gardner. I've been playing Gardner more recently. I personally love playing Gardner. She's really fun. She actually, if they do go a Hullabaloo, she actually does fare pretty well into both a Hullabaloo and a Goatman. So sometimes you will see her picked round one. And I also kind of want to see potentially a Dancer. I don't see Dancer played as much anymore, especially with the introduction to Hullabaloo. And I feel her support is pretty strong. I don't know how strong it is necessarily on Ever Sleeping. I know more so she's just a stronger kiter rather than support on Ever Sleeping, but I would
Hmm.
still enjoy seeing a Dancer as well, especially because with the elevation and her passive, where when you drop down, you get a mini speed boost that could work in her favor.
Yeah, and I would say this is a best of 3 for those who do not know. I mean, that is that could be a high pick, especially that round 2 potentially going into round 3 wild card for Dancer. As well as I do agree with you, Abby. Gardner is a wild card round 1 pick when you watch IVT, IJL, IVL, or even Koa. She was one of the top
Hmm.
picks, but I mean, I also would not complain about seeing aeroplanists. I don't think we see enough of good aeroplanists in NAEU, so I'm, you know, I'm not opposed to seeing a little bit of aeroplanist being played.
I love watching when aeroplanist players when they use their hover and they just start doing like aerial tricks in the sky. Like it's the most funniest thing to see. But sometimes like they do like really good plays, like where they'll just cover so much ground, especially with that hover because you're above most of the obstacles and you can go above like a majority of the walls. And so because of that, it's just you just get a lot of distance from it. And depending on what hunter it is, especially like a hullabaloo, that's exactly what you want. You want that distance. But if it's a goat man, it would be very unfortunate if it was an Arrow who did something like that and then they just get caged because then you just kind of cry. You know who I actually do want to see as well? I There's
Hmm.
no way it'll be played round one. Like I seriously doubt it. But a wildling. I really want to see a wildling. Unfortunately, if the hunter goes like a
Oh God.
gamekeeper, then they're gonna struggle really bad. But if
Or even
we see a
Hullabaloo. I
wildling,
think with a Watling,
yeah,
if
no,
they
that's
do
why
go
I'm saying round
Hullabaloo.
one. If no, because you cannot harass at all And you just kind of blow up too, because even if as wildling, even though if you do gain that distance, he just has his clone, so he's just able to kind of just hit you from far away still.
Mm. I I think I'm still stuck on the fact that Percy had played so well.
I was not expecting that because I never really see Percy's played at all. The only time I've really seen Percy played, it was Killer Boss who played him in qualifiers. I can't remember if it was qualifiers or if it was finals, but I still remember that Percy, and that Percy play was really good. But you don't see it
Was it on
really that
Chinatown,
often.
I believe, or
Yes,
no?
yes, it was Chinatown.
I do remember that, yeah.
I
You
love
don't yeah,
watching
I
Killer
agree
Boss
with you.
play.
I don't
It
think
was
you
just
see a
fun.
lot of good Percy mains in general, but when you do, it's scary. I think Percy is one of those hunters that, a lot of people don't want to admit, but they just don't like going again. Whether it's due to kiting reasons, whether it's due to his abilities in general. I think he kind of changes the game and how you have to look at it, kind of like Mad Eyes in a way, where you just have to. It's like a completely different game.
It's a completely different play style you have to adjust to because yeah, you do have fast hunters like your Opera, but rather than Opera who can just do multiple like smaller dashes and she can extend the dash a little bit, Percy just does a just really long, just straight dash. So like even though yeah, it does get him pretty far, luckily you are able to actually kind of counter a little bit. Just don't go in narrow hallways and just try to cut corners. But even though like you do that, he does still have his jump, however, and so because of that, that can also be game changing, as we did see because that Percy was jumping over walls and pallets like it was nothing.
I'm more surprised. Yeah, exactly what you said. I think I'm more surprised on the jumping part because you don't really see that being played a lot well. Not even
Exactly.
necessarily the dashes itself. It's just he was
It's
winning every single mind game, which is rare. But we'll jump straight into the next phase of these survivors on distance and a cute girl hunter. We're gonna see a priestess and a seer band. Wow, priestess. Are we still expecting meta, Abby? Would be my question to you, and an acro and a puppet lock.
I mean, I feel I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't feel like Goatman struggles that much against the priestess because yeah, the portals gain distance, but he just gains that distance back with cages. In Hullabaloo, again, you just have clones, so it's like either you can try red ball sniping her when it looks like she's gonna portal, which most of the times you can kind of tell when she's gonna portal. But even then, like he's just kind of more of a higher mobility hunter, so I feel like he just gains that distance back like really fast, even if you
Abby,
do keep portals.
we see a
Yes.
Faro lady pick.
What? In a journalist?
In a journalist
Oh
round one.
my
And we
god.
also see a wildling ban with meteorologist, which meteorologist
No.
does make sense, but wildling ban round one with a Faro
An
and a
acrobat
journalist.
round one too. You do not see acrobats that much round one, like at all.
Which
The
is still,
puppeteer makes sense.
not too so yeah. I think Puppet never surprised. Acro is not too surprised. But we are gonna see two
But
wild cards.
fire.
So I'm very excited to see how the distance survivors are gonna play. Maybe they're expecting a certain hunter. And maybe they have a team comp built around Faro Lady. I'm very excited. I'm running a
No,
decoder round one, and it's not
I've
mechanical.
never seen her use in tourney. I don't think I've actually ever seen a Faro use in tourney. So I'm pleasantly surprised, honestly, and I hope it actually does go really well for these survivors. Because I know Faro did actually get a buff recently. I don't know how significant the buff was, because I'll be completely honest, I don't know what they changed about her. But
Essentially, you cannot hear the noise when she would like be in her essentially ghost form,
oh,
whatever you want to call it.
interesting. Okay.
It's essentially like where she's not a like hearing based hunt. If you have good hearing, she doesn't get countered. They
Okay,
kind of
okay.
buffed that for her, so she's not as I would have said essentially say useless. It feels like, and you're gonna see a
Mad
Mad
Eyes!
Eyes pick.
Bro, I'm sorry. I'm so happy. Oh my god, they actually went Mad Eyes. Thank you. You don't understand how happy I am. I'm actually like overcome with joy. So actually, this Pharaoh actually can work into a Mad Eyes because if a Cypher just keeps on repeatedly getting lost, she can technically just take that Cypher progress. And if again, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe Can the journalist use Orphe to not break, but like vault over the walls, or is that not a thing at all?
I believe so. Yes, I believe so.
If so, then
So,
journalists will actually be able to negate the camping from Mad Eyes and just send an Orphe in and then just follow up with her main body.
and keep in mind they did choose journalists last, so that will not be globally banned, but Puppet, Acro, and Faro Lady will. And we're gonna see Faro Lady is running a suicide build as well as Puppeteer running Tide Sui. And you're also gonna see, oh my gosh, triple Tide from this team. We're gonna see an Acrobat run it as well. So I'm very excited to see how this Mad Eyes plays. This is one of, if not, what, his favorite maps, you would say, Abby? Since you're a Mad Eyes enthusiast?
Okay, I am a little bit of a Mad Eyes enjoyer, I can't lie. So honestly, I'd say for Mad Eyes, in terms of his best maps, and in terms of like where I've just struggled having a rescue against him, I would say Ever Sleeping is definitely one of his stronger maps. Both Ever Sleeping and I'd say I've seen him do really well on Lakeside personally. Because if you're trying to get into like those areas like Big Boat where he will get kited, honestly, he can just block it off with Cage. And so at that point, you're just not there's not much you really ideally can do. And so personally, I think again, like those previous chairs I mentioned, the one outside a graveyard, both chairs outside a graveyard, excuse me, and also that fake gate chair, you should actually be able to
As
capitalize.
well as Corner House as well. I mean, he has
Corner house is
Mad Eyes has a
disgusting
lot of
too.
different options, yeah. And you can see the console being right next to him. I'm very excited to see how he plays this. Immediately blocking off the journalist. Gonna really see which route she can take at this point. And we're gonna see if Orphe can be used. Running into the Hunter.
Journalist is gonna have to run back into the Mad Eyes because she is actually caged in. Oh, he forgot to cage. No, he did actually cage that off. Gonna use an Orphe. Actually, does hit the Orphe.
Amazing job by this journalist with the first body block, which again, guys, is not going to feed presence. That is the good thing about journalists that I do like, is when Orphe is hit successfully. And we're going to see the Hunter bring a confined insolence build with no detention. An amazing dodge, but unfortunately is going to still get the hit. With blink up in 10 seconds, we're going to see what happens
does recall
here.
the Orphe, so that way the cooldown goes down quicker. And she actually is going to get blocked off by this Mad Eyes. Deploys Orphe a little early, might be actually to get hit. Misses the hit.
Is going to be able to force blink here. Very curious to see how she plays with 1 second left on Orphe. Can she hit it? Amazing job by this Mad Eyes.
I'm actually surprised that hit their Orphe.
And is going to get a hit on Acrobat as well. Blocking off these ciphers. Puppeteer coming in early for the rescue, knowing he has to be there, especially against a Mad Eyes. Amazing job by this Puppet.
Unfortunately for this journalist, she did go down that alleyway at Fake 8, and the one strong point about that Mad Eyes is that is a
great
strong
body
area.
block.
And Puppeteers actually get a body block for this journalist. Therefore, journalist does have a potential to rebound because she does still, she does have distance. But unfortunately for her, however, there is still a trait up, and she is going kind of towards the corner house cipher.
May be able to take the tram if played correctly. No, unfortunately leaves her before then, as well as, like you said, no abilities. Trait is up. We'll be able to force it here. May save it though.
I think he actually just has a lot of distance on her. Like, he's pretty close. And he also doesn't have to... Actually does force out the blink and is downed. No ciphers have been popped yet, however.
But we do have this one probably roughly almost popped. You can see right there, 83 or 88%. And it looks like the Puppeteer is actually going to heal the Acrobat.
And this is exactly one of the chairs I was talking about with Mad Eyes. Because there is really no place to enter from except from in front of the Hunter or right behind into Graveyard, he is able to actually efficiently camp this chair. But the
Acrobat may be able to hit a red ball.
Actually hits a red ball and does come in really early, therefore not going to get blocked off. But does miss the body block, and unfortunately journalists will be dying after Tide is up. But because there is a Tide, there will be an extra 20-second spot for the survivors to decode.
So essentially, they're not in a terrible spot. They do have 2 ciphers that are almost popped, one at 50. They do have all 5 of their ciphers. Unfortunately, against Mad Eyes, you may have to start another one. And he is not allowing this 93% cipher to be popped here at Dancing Geisha. The triple tide is keeping this game alive right now, though. So I'm very excited to see what he does or who he chases next. What are you expecting, Abby, from the Mad Eyes?
Honestly, you're not gonna really want to chase a pharaoh unless you have her locked off. So honestly, I'm thinking I'm trying to think because both of these chases, like an acrobat, he has balls, and then with puppeteer, he just has Lewis. But I think Lewis, going after the puppeteer might just be the best play because you'll be able to burn up his HP compared to an aggro who still does have three separate balls to use, and actually he has two because he did rescue. He actually has
And
an
then we're gonna
extra
see
light ball.
Far Lady on the cage. She may be caged in. Puppet's trying to pop this 93% cipher. No, she did make it out.
She's just
And
holding W. She's able to get out of there successfully.
they're in a sticky situation. They will have to start working on other ciphers. Unfortunately, Farlow has been rotating for quite a while now. Can't really decode with him putting pressure on all of the machines.
All the consoles, yeah. That's the one thing I like about Mad Eyes is because you just have to put so much pressure, and because of that, they have to not only decode the consoles to deplete that energy so you can't keep getting caged off, but you also do have to decode as well. So it's honestly just a multitasking simulator, and because of that, it just makes it all that more harder.
I believe the Distant Survivors as well as Calp D Mad Eyes, they both are playing really well. Amazing hit right there. They were able to pop the Dancing Geisha cipher in front of the Mad Eyes' face. So now there are only two ciphers remaining, one of them being upstairs 2-story. So essentially, as long as Far Lady doesn't go down here, they should be in a win-win scenario to at least
Yeah.
potentially get 1 to 2 out, which would put them up in round 1 with their hunter getting a 4K.
That would be really good, especially because if they are able to actually pop the last final ciphers, this Mad Eyes does not actually have detention. He's a confined in some Mad Eyes, which most Mad Eyes do end up running. And because of that, he just won't have that detention. So because of that, you can just keep on taking more hits from him, especially like the puppeteer who will profit from it a lot. But we do still have a fair lady who's not able to really decode and utilize her kit. She's just been having to run around because she does keep on getting pressured, and she is 0.75. And unfortunately, not the grave. They are in graveyard, however. They just keep on getting pressured on the graveyard cipher and not really ultimately able to decode it.
We're going to see Puppeteers trying to push the Graveyard Cipher, which is going to be that third and last one. Puppet is going to get hit by the wall. Amazing job by this Mad Eyes right now, putting pressure on 3 different cipher machines, not really allowing not many people to decode. And at this point, you're going to see the Puppeteer not be able to do anything on his end, but the Acrobat will push 2-story. Very curious to see. And the Far Lady is pushing Fake Gate as well. It's already at 50%. Though this is a long game, they are playing it really, really well. And I know most survivors tend to get rushed, especially in situations like this. Now, we do see Blink is up. Acrobat may be taking chase here.
Luckily, if Acrobat does actually get chased, he is the only member on the team that is full health, so he will be able to last a little bit longer, but unfortunately that also will be an issue if he does get chased, because he technically is the only one who can currently rescue. I mean,
And
Puppeteer
has
can't
borrowed
technically
time.
he can technically Lewis, but he would only be
Yeah.
able to use one. If he keeps on just getting walled off, then ultimately there's not much he can do.
But you're
But
going to
we're
see him
actually gonna
commit to
see
the
the
Far
Pharaoh.
Lady. Yeah, which is actually pretty good for these survivors. And the reason I say that is because Acrobat is the only one with borrowed time, so he'd be the only one to be able to rescue. And you're going to see here, Mad Eye's not falling for much here. And then there goes her invincibility. Probably going to die middle here pretty soon. Blink is up. Not going to need it, though. Amazing job. And you're going to see that Graveyard Cipher already being at 75%. No pressure.
They actually technically do have the ciphers. Some of them do need to be decoded just a little bit more, and unfortunately, Puppeteer is getting locked out of his cipher. They do technically have the ciphers, but this Mad Eyes is not allowing them any chance to decode them at all. And even after they do successfully get this rescue, which this is also an annoying chair to save as against Mad Eyes, they still
Now,
do
will
have
they be
ciphers that
able to
are
get the
50%.
rescue? Would be
If
the
they don't,
question
that
here
will
at
be very
hand.
game changing if they don't get it. But even if they do, the Mad Eyes does still have Blink, so there is a potential for there to be, a stuff.
And they're just going to have to sell her at this point. And the Graveyard Cipher will be able to get popped here. We're going to have to see this Puppeteer rotate in to the 2-story Cipher. Somehow this Acrobat is going to have to try to keep her alive. Was he able to hit that ball? No. But it's no worries. He can still get the rescue. And then she's actually walled in on the other side. No flywheel given.
Mad Eye still does have trade up as well, so whoever he chases next will have to also blink predict as well.
I mean, this could potentially be a 4K depending on how they play it. And there goes the overloaded
Puppeteer
Cipher.
trapped himself. Puppeteer trapped himself.
The machine is
and he's
overloaded.
He's not able to Lewis, so unfortunately he will be going down. And he knows exactly where the Acrobat is, so he will be trying to trap the Acrobat as well.
With Blink still up, I mean, he's in a pretty good scenario. Puppeteer does still have self-heal, I believe, so they're still in a decent situation. Amazing job by this Acrobat. Dying right outside of the ranges, but unfortunately is going to get trapped and hit as well.
Oh my god.
And we're going to probably more than likely see the Blink get utilized here, or he's just going to jump over. Not really much they can do. Looks like Acrobat has no balls, but there goes the Puppeteer self-healing. There goes the Blink as well. And he was able to ball over, just got the 60. Woo! Amazing job by this Acrobat baiting the Mad Eyes to Blink.
That actually is really good for them because now Mad Eyes genuinely has no chase. He just has to, he's just now just an M1 hunter, and now he has to just keep on applying pressure through his gates. And he still is currently at Corner House, and we do have the Puppeteer currently working on those consoles, but it looks like Puppeteer might be... Actually, no, he's the one that's doing those cages. Okay. I was going to say, he might be actually get trapped, but he's the one that's actually ending up doing those cages, and Mad Eyes is just going to have to keep on trying to apply pressure throughout the map and hopefully pray that none of them can actually get those ciphers done.
Yeah, I feel like in this situation, with Acrobat playing this so well, it allows them to pressure two different ciphers as long as they get on the proper consoles and do not get trapped, like the Mad Eyes is trying to do as of right now. Will he be able to do it to the Acrobat? No, Acrobat dodges everything.
Acrobat is too much in the open. He can't do it anymore, actually. This Acrobat's actually playing this really well.
I believe the Puppeteer will be able to decode the Fate Gate cipher, which means the Acrobat does need to rotate into above 2-story to start working on that. Now, keep in mind, Puppeteer does have a Sui build. Is going to utilize his knee jerk to gain as much distance as possible. Might be able to get trapped here. No, is able to actually dodge the wall. Amazing job by both plays right now. Unfortunately, like Abby had said, with Blink being on cooldown, he pretty much is an M1 hunter, which just means like an Ember with no chase abilities.
Yeah, that's the only downside to Mad Eyes. As long as he doesn't have Blink and he doesn't have too much energy, his chase is generally considered weak because just like a Hellumber, he doesn't have much mobility. He doesn't have other abilities. His whole ability just relies on his ability to cage and apply pressure to those ciphers and to the chair, and also just try to trap people like he has done before. And as long as, as soon as you're trapped, then you're kind of screwed unless you have abilities to get out, such as an Aeroplanist hover or a patient hook.
Can we just sit here and appreciate the good communication by these survivors right now? Not really, feeling impatient or being rushed by this Mad Eyes. 5 seconds left on Blink, though. So we will see what this Acrobat can do. As long as they don't get trapped.
Wait, Acrobat's trapped.
Oof, they do still have self-heal. And you're going to see Puppeteer is on the other cipher, which is 76%, but it does get walled off twice, so it's going to be a long while.
Acrobat is trapped. Acrobat luckily does have self-heal, though, however.
In a situation like this, they just have to play really slow. Blink is up. Puppet is going to be the next one to get chased while Acrobat tries to heal. It's a sticky situation. Everything's on Puppet if they get this one man right now.
The only issue now, however, is because that the Puppeteer now is going to be the chase. There is no cipher progress going on at all. And this Puppeteer will have to actually just have to Blink predict because this Mad Eyes does have Blink. And if he does actually successfully Blink predict, then that will be really good because he won't go down due to he has a Lewis, but we'll have to see exactly how he plays it. It looks like he's trying to heal. He's gonna try to potentially heal the acrobat so he can heal back a little bit, but
unfortunately
unfortunately he is
cannot
walled
due to the
off.
wall. And he will try to
Actually, he
jump
can drop
down.
down. He can drop down, but is gonna Mad Eyes gonna blink? No, he actually
No, he
gets
was
it.
able to get the heal off, but they're still trapped. And the
They're
puppet
still
couldn't
trapped.
take the body
And the
block.
puppet couldn't
Can he be
body
able to
block.
jump over?
I think
Oh,
it'll make him go down. I don't think he can. I think it's GG.
I think this may be a 4K, so it might be a tie round 1, and they know it is. With Blink still being up, there's not really much he can do.
Yeah.
Oh
I don't think
wow,
this Mad Eyes is
amazing
actually even
job.
have to use blink. Misses the
And there
blink,
goes the
but
blink.
it
Wow.
doesn't matter.
Puppet kiting
Unfortunately.
with no pallets in a dream.
And
Amazing
Mad Eyes know
job.
he's gonna get this down, so he just starts emoting. And unfortunately for the survivors, this will be a 4-man escape.
But
Oh,
the
actually,
acrobat
no,
still
Acrobat
has
does still have
self-heal.
self heal. No, Acrobat does still have self heal, however, because
But
I forgot.
unfortunately,
I completely forgot the
overloaded
puppeteer picked him
machines.
up.
There's not really much he can do here, but Blink is gone.
He just gets trapped. This is the power of Mad Eyes,
Oh,
honestly. Oh, because the gate is near
and
the
it was
console. It actually just goes down.
perfect timing. I do say so myself. At this point, he's going to have to rotate out. But Puppeteer does not have self-heal, so at
And
this
because
point,
of Inso, it's going to be a peak of 60%. So there's no way for this Acrobat to route near him and just pick him up really quickly. So this is
yeah.
ultimately going to be a 4-man elimination. Acrobat's just buying time as much as he can, but unfortunately does go down, and this will be a 4-man elimination for the Mad Eyes. And the Mad Eyes is not going to chair the Acrobat because he knows the Puppeteer is near Dungeon and is just ultimately going to chair him first because there's no potential way for this Acrobat to get to Dungeon unless somehow the Mad Eyes does actually lose him, which if that is the case, I would be genuinely shocked.
Amazing job by the distant survivors, never giving up, even waiting here on top of Dungeon. But yeah, that's going to be it, guys. That's going to be round 1. We're going to see a tie, which guarantees we will be going into round 3. So shout out to Abby and her dancer moment that may be potentially played.
I really hope so. Please, if these people are watching stream, if any of you are watching stream, please go to answer. I'm begging you. You heard me out in my Mad Eyes, and I thank you that. Like, I thank you for that. But please go to answer. Please.
Amazing job again by this Mad Eyes as well as the Percy that played. Fantastic by both survivors and hunters. Wow. I mean,
That Percy game still shocked me. I'm still like in disbelief. Like I need to go back and rewatch that later because those jumps were absolutely disgusting.
And same here with the early game from the Mad Eyes. Just knowing what exactly to do in the scenario and not feeling rushed, as well as for the survivors. But, you know, on to round 2 we go is all we really can say. But at this point, will we see a Goatman be banned? Will we see a Hullabaloo be banned? Will we see either of those meta top pick hunters be played in this tournament today? I'm not sure. Abby, what are your thoughts?
You know, this is gonna sound crazy, and this is just me. I just like off meta because no offense to people who play with meta. I understand why you have to play meta. We all do. But I'm just so accustomed, especially because like, you know, you and me, we both do tourneys. We're just so accustomed to just seeing the Goatman, the Opera, the Hullabaloo, the Ivy, that I do personally just appreciate the off meta because it's just a change of pace, especially like with the Mad Eyes. Like, yeah, that match was probably about 15 minutes long, but it's not like a 15-minute Goatman match, you know what I mean? So honestly, if I want to go with the off meta train, I would love to see a Nightmare. And the reason why I personally like watching Nightmare gameplay is because most nightmares that I personally see, they do end up running teleport as their main trait or warp. It depends. It varies. And then they also have the crow teleport. And so I like just watching how survivors do, technically with 2 teleports being in play, and like if they know the cooldown of the crow. And also I just like I like his chase personally. Like I don't like going against it, especially when it's max presence. It's absolutely disgusting. But I do kind of view him similar to Percy in the sense of you have to cut the walls, and he does have like a straight dash, but instead it's kind of 2 dashes or it's infinite dashes based on the presence. So I would definitely like to see a Nightmare. Nightmare would be a fun off meta pick, but I would also potentially like to see a Naiad because I know back when I was not a part of this game, when I had quit, there was a Naiad meta for a bit. And honestly, she just capitalized. She did really, really good. And I personally just like watching Naiad gameplay. I don't know. She just gets to dash around. She gets to water pop people. You just have to see how well people, like the survivors, adapt to it and how well they're able to dodge both, the water and how well they're actually also able to just to dodge the dashes and just getting normally hit as well. Is there any hunters you specifically want to see, like any off meta?
I think you hit it right on the money with always seeing meta pick. If I had to pick off meta hunters, the hear me out of the day is definitely going to be Clerk. Um,
Oh,
I love
Clerk.
I love watching her gameplay because I feel like it really tests the survivors that the hunter is going against, and it's a very who wins what mind game type of scenario with Clerk. So I'm very excited uh, to potentially see more off meta picks. I mean, I can't really think anything's out of left field at this point because we have a Percy round one and a Mad Eyes round one. If I had to pick another hunter to be chosen, hmm, that I don't know. I mean, maybe if I had to think about when I used to play, you know, because I've played this game for a long time.
Hmm.
Back in KOA 4, I mean, I'm openly okay with a BQ or Sculptor as well. I think watching one of those two has always been exciting to me. Maybe more so the Sculptor than the Bloody Queen,
Yeah.
but it's more so how they utilize statues and as well as when they bank on the full presence. It's kind of like a Wax, but I don't want to see him because I would genuinely rank him around that A rank when it comes to between meta and non-meta.
Mm.
Typically a round three chosen hunter. Obviously, after the big four, Goatman, Hulla, Ivy, and
Yeah.
Opera.
I love watching Sculptor gameplay. There was a little bit in time back it was back like at the end of last year where Sculptor was honestly on a rise again. I was seeing her more in tourney. The team
Mhm.
Globe, but they actually had a really good sculptor who had played for them. And that's when I honestly saw a lot of sculptor. And then unfortunately she just kind of did die out again and people started going back to their meta. But I do personally like sculptor gameplay as well because back when I was, playing a lot more often, that was back during the sculptor meta and also the BQ meta back then as well. And I personally just I hate rescuing against sculptor, and I also just hate kiting her because not only do you have to dodge those statues and not be like in a small crowded spot, but you also do have to just honestly dodge like her normal attack. And it's fun watching certain characters like for example like a puppeteer who does like chip himself and how well a puppeteer can fare into a sculptor. And I also just love watching her chisel ability because
Mhm.
even though she's not doesn't have as much, I'd say, camping not camp excuse me, as much map pressure as for example your Ivy or your Clerk, she does still have potential, put pressure on ciphers, even though she is still at the chair camping. Unlike your hunters like your Axboy or your Hellember, who just have absolutely no pressure on the map whatsoever because their main ability is just like on the base of their body. Unless you want to count the puppets, but it's kind of easy to dodge the puppets.
Yeah, and on another note, behind the scenes at least, guys, we have round two Chinatown being picked, as well as we're gonna see the cute girls survivors go first. So um definitely exciting to kind of see what kind of picks we're gonna see. I know a lot of people do like playing Wu Chang and Smiley Face on big maps like this on Chinatown, but what would you be expecting based off of the map pick?
I I could honestly see a lot of Wu Chang's on the rise currently. He's really honestly on the rise, and so there could be a potential round two Wu Chang, and that is more of an off meta pick, but he is starting to become back in the meta, so that honestly could work.
Got it. And I would also say, um, like the previous round, guys, Gravekeeper, Seer, and Professor cannot be chosen. So I wonder if Q Girls is going to opt in for a very unique, um, off meta survivor picks because we did see round one, they went all meta picks. So I'm very curious to see kind of what they come up with. And, you know, I'm ready to get straight into it. I mean, they're gonna have the same hunter hunting, so their Percy will be banned, but I'm sure they have other options. I mean, even Hullabaloo would be viable on this map. I've seen that being played in scrimmages for NAEU or um, even in IJL or IVT. But again,
Honestly, I could see a potential. We really honestly could see a potential Wu Chang, especially with the persona tree changes as well. He does actually tend to do a little bit better. But unfortunately, because this is, a tourney, it's not your normal rank match. They will know it's a Wu Chang, therefore the element of surprise that Wu Chang typically does have kind of won't be available. But regardless, as long as he gets presence, he still is formidable to go against, especially with the Soul Siphon able to eliminate some rescues. And also the potential for the bell to cancel ability usage and also just pallet throwing and vaulting.
and then right now, what we're gonna see, guys, is we're gonna see a mechanic and psychologist ban, which is very good because of mechanics decoding. And even if you chase her, she'll still have, they could sell her. They have a lot of different options with mechanic, or just use it to body block. And then we're gonna see the psychologist pick, which again, we're probably opting in for a hunter that doesn't like people like Seer, psychologist, people who can take a lot of hits or potentially change the game with their support. And we're going to see a Goatman ban from these survivors, just not even risking it because we all know how Goatman matches go.
It's disgusting, I understand.
And I personally couldn't blame you guys. And then we're going to see the Puppeteer and Meteorologist pick. Very, very awesome to see the Meteorologist, and she's so strong. Moving up, even with the nerfs, moving up in this current meta today. And we all know how we feel about Puppeteer. We love it.
Oh, we're actually gonna see a round two Meteor, which she does actually do fairly well into some more of the meta picks. I've personally seen her do really well into the Opera, for example, because you are actually able to push back the Opera and put her dash on cooldown. And also because of Ivy, you are also able to get the wind. You can push the Ivy back. You can also fly away from the Ostrakhan zone, and you also are able to technically have a global heal. So that way, it's just you won't if you're healing with someone, you don't actually have to. You technically don't have to get leeched. You don't have to run that risk because you can't just do the global heal.
Yeah, and I'll say them banning psychologists and them picking meteorologists is a very smart play. Just because though you don't get that support from, wall to wall across the maps, you still somewhat get it meeting somewhere in the middle with meteorologists with her cloud healing abilities. And then we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna see a pause here. Not really too sure what's going on, but no worries. Very still excited to see if we can get an off meta pick. I even think Clerk would be viable on this map because I think she could be played on any map. Unfortunately, with that
Clerk on
huge
Chinatown is
hotel.
disgusting.
Yeah, with that huge
She's really
hotel would
disgusting.
probably be the only caveat I would say that may be a little hard to play her, especially with support as well. That really doesn't help out much. So I'm really curious to see if they're going to opt into, a hardcore support team comp with these next two picks as well. What are you thinking, Abby? You think they're going to go solo? People like Acrobat,
I
high kiting
mean,
chasing ability? Or are you think they're going to opt in with the hard support picks after picking Meteorologist
it
and
depends
Puppeteer?
on what the hunter plays. I personally don't have any idea what this hunter plays, so I can't say for certain. But if the survivors have any idea and if they've done their research, it depends on like what they have found out. But I'd say on Chinatown, personally, what I like is having at least one support. For example, having your fire investigator, because I know you actually do want to see a fire investigator. Fire investigator actually does fairly do well on this map because there's a lot of entrances that are small that he can easily block off with a ball. And if this hunter does have a potential Ivy, there is the fire investigator does actually do pretty well into Ivy because he's able to just ball away from the little zone, the little Ostrakhan zone. And I've never played fire, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure at the gates you can do a ball setup to where it's really difficult for one for the hunter to just hit you in general, but two for the Ivies in specific to leech you.
Correct. Yes, you would be correct. And this is coming from a top fire investigator main. That is definitely viable, especially on this map as well. Chinatown, fire investigator is just very strong, especially when you spawn him middle or even above middle, just
Hmm.
because of those two OP corner houses. Being able to block everything off allows too much distance. So we might even see a fire investigator ban, but like you said, it really just depends on what we think the hunter is going to choose or what they're going to choose. I'm sure both of these teams have, different styles and already have different game plans set up. And I believe that this tournament is a group stage. Correct me if I'm wrong, Abby.
I'm pretty sure it is, if I'm not like mistaken. I'm
So
like
then we,
99% sure.
so we may be able to see potentially these teams in the future as well after this weekend, playing against different teams and using different strategies. I'm very also, excited to see that as well, just because it's something different. And I wonder if Cute Girls is going to continue with the same strategy round one with the hard meta counter or round one hard meta, picks, or are they going to change it up kind of like how Distance did with a couple wild cards thrown into the loop, kind of just expecting the unknown. It almost feels like when you play in these type of tournaments. Because I don't know how you would
Exactly.
react, Abby, trying to rescue against a Mad Eyes or go against a Percy.
Okay, well, Percy, I would just blow up. I'm gonna be honest. I would just probably blow up. I don't do too well with Percy. I hate kiting him. It's absolutely awful. And if the Percy is like that Percy that who just won almost every single mind game, pretty much like 90% of his mind games, and also just has that really good, just has that understanding of the character to where you can just easily do those jump spots like it's nothing. I personally would blow up. And then in terms of a Mad Eyes, the thing that's actually good about Mad Eyes is if the cage is near the console, it will actually not deplete, but I'd say go down quicker. So that's one down. I mean, that's one downside for the hunter, one upside for the survivor. But honestly, the thing about Mad Eyes is we as like rescue remains, we're so kind of accustomed and just conditioned to you don't want to save at like 10% share. But the thing about strong camp hunters such as your Mad Eyes or maybe even your Naiad who has the water potential and also your sculptor who has the statue potential and even your bonbon with the bombs, you just want to save as I don't know if I would say as quickly as possible, but you want to save as safely as possible, which most of the times it's just going early because yeah, you are buying more time by waiting out the chair, but ultimately with that tide that you save with, that's just going to make up the time that you could have had if you just waited. But if you wait, there's a good potential for a terror shock or just even a stuff in general. It doesn't even have to be a terror shock. It could just be like ability
Just
usage
not getting that itself
or
or
just not even
even
get it in
double
general.
down. Yeah, you got a lot of,
Exactly.
silly scenarios that you get yourself put in with, especially with off meta. And we did just get confirmation that week one and week two are group stage. So we still will be seeing these survivors and these hunters play again. So maybe it'll help out for the other teams that do have to play against them, knowing, hey, round one, they may utilize that Mad Eyes or that Percy. So, other teams, as long as they do the research, they could at least be prepared not to run a professor and a novelist round one against a Percy or really, there's not really that they did anything wrong as far as character picks with the Mad Eyes one. It's just Mad Eyes is just different on Ever Sleeping. There's not really much to say,
Yeah. So for the other teams that will be going next, and that's just the thing about tourney ultimately, you just have to keep on doing your research on the teams that play before you, just to try to almost counterpick them because they're gonna ultimately try to counterpick you and ban what they know you're comfortable on. That way just putting you at a disadvantage. And so ultimately what the survivors who if this team Cute Girls does actually win, if they do win this matchup, then ultimately the other teams that will have the potential of facing them are gonna have to just keep in their mind, yeah, this person is really confident on Mad Eyes. They have a round one Mad Eyes, and so ultimately Mad Eyes will be annoying on any and every map. But a map like Ever Sleeping, where it's pretty, there's long, narrow hallways, and it's pretty just kind of close together. It's not like your, for example, your Moonlit that has more of an open area, kind of around first and second stop. So ultimately, what you're just gonna want to do is you're just gonna want to just avoid your ever sleeping, and even honestly, I would say personally, you're gonna want to avoid your hospital, because hospital actually he does have strong camp potential in there as well, such as like the ruins chairs and even the statue chair. The statue chair is really bad. Like if you get shared a
Yeah.
statue, there is a really hard chance for the rescue to actually
Anything to even
continue.
happen. Yeah, you might as well at that point just sell, which, in most scenarios, as long as the Mad Ice has a really good early game, you're filet mignon, I like to say.
Yeah, it's kind of chopped. It's really hard to come back. And so we're actually going to enter the ban pick scenario, the ban pick screen, and we're going to have to watch and see what exactly is banned by both the hunter and the survivor.
And again, we're stepping in round 2 for those who are just joining in. And again, it's China, Town, and the first 2 picks and bans that we saw were, I believe, Mechanic and Psychologist, with Puppeteer and Meteorologist
Didn't they
being
ban a
picked
Goatman, if I remember correctly? Which I don't blame
as
them,
well.
because Goatman on Chinatown is absolutely disgusting. Because, yeah, you can abuse the elevation because he can't cage up, but he can abuse the cage down where he can just get easy drop hits on you.
Yeah, and I see the chat here talking about Alien Stage. That's going to have to be for a different day, guys, as we're going to see the Hunter ban the third survivor, which is going to be Abby's favorite main in the world, First Officer. How are we feeling about that one?
I'm hurt. I want to see First Officer. I love my First Officer. You can't go wrong with First Officer unless it's a clown.
But
Then you
what do they
blow
call
up.
you, Abby, as the third pick?
What do you mean? Oh my God, Mark! Okay, thank you. I'm happy. Okay, I'm sorry.
And then you're going to
No,
see
I
the
love my
last ban
rescuers.
going to be Antiquarian. So we're probably going to opt in for either a kiter, decoder, or a support role here, just because they already have Puppet and Merc. They wouldn't need a rescuer or anybody with, a potential tide. We could even
I'm
see a
saying
game changer wild card like
Enchantress.
Enchantress after her buff, if you guys do not know. Starting off with whatever they're called, a curse already, as well as
Yeah,
not
with
being
the
able
ink
to
curse.
gain a curse from healing people, which I know a lot of Enchantress mains were upset about that one.
No, I completely actually didn't know they changed that part of her. Damn.
Yep, I believe so, as well as I think it takes longer to get the curse, but you do start
It
with
does.
one.
It does take a bit longer because I played her in quick match not that long ago, and it was
Hmm.
significantly slower. But I'd say honestly, her spawning in with that curse is actually really good. And honestly, I've seen the Enchantress go into. Obviously, we won't see it into a Goatman, but Enchantress actually can work into the potential Hullabaloo if the Hunter does have a Hullabaloo. She does actually fare pretty well into it.
She actually, yeah. So I've actually tested myself Enchantress against Hullabaloo. As long as Enchantress plays it right when they use the double surprise, which is a clone, as long as she hits her curse and gets out of the double surprise area, she will only eat one color. Sometimes zero, depending on how they play it, but she won't guarantee a double color hit. So I do not think that Hullabaloo may be an optional or optimal choice here, especially with Meteorologist being around the OP corner, depending on how they play it. The only viable chase here would be the Puppeteer, and we're
We were
still going to
actually
see
going to see the
Hullabaloo get
Hullabaloo.
chosen. Going into 2 counters, I'm very excited to see how he plays, as well as how these survivors play, because they are definitely characters that are, um, what would be the word I'd be looking for? Depends on how you play them, and that's what makes them good. Depends
Hmm.
how you play Enchantress, depends how you play Meteorologist, as well as Puppet against Hullabaloo, and it depends on how they play as well. We're finally going to see a meta pick, Abby. Thoughts on that?
Really happy it's a hullabaloo, and we were literally just talking about it. So, I mean, call us a seer because we see into the future with that one. But
All
ultimately,
right, wrap it up.
I mean, ultimately, if this enchantress does play it properly, or even this meteorologist, these two will actually be able to fare really well into a hullabaloo.
We're going to opt into one tide. We're going to be running a Sui on Enchantress, and then we're going to see a definitely different spawn, depending on where the Meteorologist goes. Okay. which is
Okay, that
allowing the
also
puppet
this
to
is fine.
potentially take Sakai. Yeah, we're gonna see that. More than likely, I believe behind restaurant would be the cipher is locked. Correct me if I'm wrong, Abby. Maybe corner house.
I believe so, if I'm not mistaken. But
I
the
believe it'd
only
be the
issue
behind the
with
restaurant.
Puppeteer, yeah, the only issue with Puppeteer potentially getting the kite here is because there is no actual attack recovery. Puppeteer does actually kind of blow up to a hullabaloo unless Puppeteer plays it properly or the hullabaloo just
Mhm.
misplays. And also the only issue too is as well is the red zone, which will cancel that Lewis, and that will be kind of game changing depending on what exactly happens. But
I will
ultimately,
say, with this survivors, they definitely understand that the weak link is going to be the puppeteer here. So them spawning him at hotel is one of the best decisions that they could have made because when you spawn in from this spot, you're right there at the stairs. You spawn right to the left of them. So as long as you don't eat a free color, depending on a hullabaloo site, I would say they're pretty much set up to do potentially a guaranteed 3 cipher kite. But we're going to jump straight into it and see, right, Abby?
yes, we will. And luckily for them, actually, they do have a Merc as well, which Merc does have a lot of high potential to not get doubled down because you are able to actually just elbow pad in right away. And we're going to see this Hullabaloo spawn right here near mid bushes and is ultimately going to go for that Puppeteer at first.
But it looks like he may opt into chasing the Enchantress instead. And yes, that is exactly what we're
Yeah,
going to
he's
see. He
actually
does
going to chase
not
the
want to go
Enchantress.
for the Puppeteer, knowing he went upstairs. And he did end up seeing the Enchantress's steps. And I'm very curious to see how she's going to play this. She's doing an amazing rotation here, heading into the cipher that is locked, which is behind restaurant.
And luckily, she's
And
kiting a line of sight, so it's harder for this Hullabaloo to actually get a potential clone snipe with her. And she might be able to make it to this window in time.
and was able to dodge the first one and will be able to use knee jerk flex to push OP corner, but is going to get hit by the red, which is actually a good scenario. You definitely want to get hit by red by the first color. Drop that pallet to potentially loop it again. Remember, guys, does already have, starts off with 1 stack, ends up
Drops
getting
down
mind game,
a little bit early. Is able to actually make this vault though. Not
but doesn't
able to get a
matter because
terror
she does
shot.
have, fully suicide. Was able to dodge 1 clone. Will he be able to hit the second one? Is really the game changer here. We'll be
He
able to
actually
miss it.
misses it. She's scared of
But she
potential
doesn't
terror shots, but
vault.
she doesn't. She does not vault right away. And unfortunately, the Hullabaloo was running into the wall a little bit, but now she's getting mind gamed into this little corner. But the ciphers are still about 70, so by the time she
Will
does
they
go
be able to
down,
hit this flywheel?
she does use the curse, and she's actually able to kite a bit longer because he does not have jump just yet. And he does
And he
also does
misses
not
the
have
first
clone.
double
Yeah, he
surprise. Will
misses
he be able to hit the
clone.
second one?
He hits the
Does.
second one,
Amazing job.
however.
No flywheel coming out. Almost has the third stack as well. Amazing 3 cipher kite by this Enchantress. Again, dying away from everybody's cipher. Merc is going to already get set up to get this rescue. And it looks like they're already starting the second to last ciphers. One being hotel and one being where she died at. At this point, with the abnormal not being in use, the survivors are in a really good position. Amazing patience by this mercenary as well.
One of the final ciphers is going to be getting started right near the chair, however, so it's on this Enchantress. It's her job to get as far away from this cipher as possible. Luckily, the Merc actually gets him no damage, and the Enchantress does have a 3 stack available readily to use. And she's pulling away from the Meteorologist to cipher. And are we going to see the Enchantress use the 3 stack?
May be able to hit this flywheel or potentially use the 3 stack. Depends on what she does right here. Will she be able to hit the flywheel? Doesn't need to. Ends up using a 1 stack.
She's able to
We'll just die
actually
in
keep
the
on kiting, but
corner.
unfortunately is going to die. But the
I
ciphers
believe
are
the-
above 60.
Due to the Merc not getting actually hit, they're still going to send in, I believe, the Mercenary or the Meteorologist.
Should have the
Best
Merc
play
though,
here
however. Merc is
would
actually
have
going
the
to
Merc.
win.
And
And
his
I was
colors just
questioning-
disappeared.
And I was questioning at first why this Enchantress didn't use her stacks, but ultimately we do have to remember this Enchantress does actually have Sui, so she is ideally saving that 3 stack. Or as soon as she gets off the chair, that way they can safely pop.
And there goes the 3 stack. At this point, you might as well
And
just
that's
pop the
exactly what
ciphers,
they
and they do. Amazing job, and they're already working on the gate. Meteorologist being close. They may try to opt in for a 4-man. We do see that the Hullabaloo does have detention, but we still do have a 1 stack and flywheel in play. Merc may be able to potentially body block, Very curious. She does
She's
use the knee
actually pushing
jerk.
the gate. She's pushing the gate with knee jerk, and the Merc might actually be able to body block. And we do have the
And the
meteorologist
meteorologist
pushback.
hits a push. Oh my
Oh
god.
god!
And there goes the flywheel, and we're
And,
going to see a
and
4
there's a
escape from the
four-man escape.
survivor. And that's going to be
Unfortunately for this
5 points.
hullabaloo, however, he actually did have a normal, so therefore he just could not apply pressure. And well, good on this Enchantress for dying away from the ciphers, because ultimately that just rendered his ability useless, or I should say his trait, excuse me. And therefore, because of that, he just lost out on a bit more chase and also more pressure. Because if he was, for example, a warp hullabaloo, then he would have had a bit more pressure and likely could have gotten the down a lot quicker.
And again, guys, what I want you to keep in mind is that because the first round was a tie, we are guaranteed to go into round 3. So you guys don't know how vital it actually is for these survivors to not only get a 3 escape, but to guarantee the 4 is allowing that point difference, as well as putting a lot of, pressure on the survivors on the other scale, right? And relieving a little bit of that pressure for their hunter, allowing them, hey, we only need you to get a 1-man on Chinatown, play what you're most comfortable with, and anything more is just brownie points. So I'm very, very excited to see how these survivors are going to play, as well as will this hunter opt in for another off meta pick, something they're more comfortable with. But again, amazing job by both ends. Like Abby said, unfortunately, with the hullabaloo bringing abnormal in a scenario where there's a 3 cipher kite, there's not really much time for it to be utilized. And again, I really want to prop out that mercenary, not only using the elbows properly, but being very patient and not even allowing a hit, let alone a double down. Abby,
That's true. That's what I'm saying.
could
That's the
you do
strength
that?
about Merc.
Could you
I
do
mean,
that in my
okay,
rank matches, please?
okay. First off, could you not throw my rank matches? Second off, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. No, you don't throw.
interesting.
I'm just kidding. No, you're typically fine. You're typically fine. It's not you. But no, ultimately, that's why Merc is really good into a hullabaloo. That's why some teams will honestly just let the hullabaloo out, because he's more of a tie character now, honestly, because of his nerfs with, one less jump and also just longer cooldown and less speed. But honestly, with the Merc, what you can do, again, like what this Merc did, is you just elbow pad right in and you can just
Right
run
when they use
away.
the double surprise, and then like you said, just
Exactly.
run
And you
away
just
because
get
you're
away.
only going to have one color at that point. And I also want you to think about that team comp, right? I mean, that is a very, very good team comp against Hullabaloo. So again, amazing job by the survivors choosing characters that not only excel, but as well as the spawn selections is what really changed that game, I believe, Abby.
No, I'm honestly really surprised that he didn't actually opt to chase the puppeteer. I think ultimately that would have been a bit better of a chase, because if the puppeteer did not rotate on that from that side of the map, it would have actually probably been a 3 cipher link, which would have been more beneficial for the hullabaloo with the normal. And also, it would have been a bit personally, just it would have been a bit more awkward, because the thing with Puppeteer is, because of the double surprise and also just the no attack recovery, he tends to blow up to Hullabaloo plus the potential for red zone. While Enchantress, she, even if you hit her, she still gets stacks. Like, she doesn't really, I wouldn't say she
Get
doesn't
nerfed
really, yeah,
or
she
get
doesn't,
affected.
yeah,
And
it's really not bad. Like,
I
she's just a
think when
really
you
hard chase.
and when you take a step back as well, when you think about that cipher layout with behind restaurant being locked, that means that if you immediately commit to the puppeteer, you don't one allow him to decode at hotel. 2, hotel won't be used for the future of that game. And 3, the enchantress has to rotate all the way around and either has to wait for that cipher to be unlocked or essentially kind of allows room for error for the survivor communication. So the puppeteer not being chased there, I think, um, really was game changing because it kind of killed that Cypher Rush starting off slow with where the Hullabaloo spawned. I think at that point, what would have been a better route would have just been spawning top left or committing to the Puppeteer. And again, it's unfortunate that the abnormal was never in use or in play, as well as
Mm-hmm.
the detention really could never get anyone down due to that Sui built on the Enchantress, which seems like the survivors knew that the Enchantress was going to get chased. So, I mean, kudos to their game plan and what they created, and as well as kudos to the hunter. Very just unfortunate scenario. But I'm excited to see
Yeah.
what happens here with, Faro and Acrobat and Puppet being banned. We have a lot of different options for these distance survivors. So
Luckily for
even though
these
the
distant survivors, not many of the meta picks are actually permabanned, so they do still actually have quite a lot of options against this hunter.
exactly, and I think in a scenario like this, though there is a lot of pressure with them having to get a 4-man, it is not impossible on Chinatown with their current character pool, depending on what the hunter plays. Now, if they're choosing someone like Anne, what would be some other ones, Abby, that, it's not really much you can do?
I say honestly wax artists. And the only reason I say
Wax?
wax artists is because a lot of times I just see people they just struggle to kiting out the wax. Like you can't really do much about that if that's just not your like strong expertise. It's such and he's like I'd say a safe tie. You can push for more, but like an and's a safe tie. I'm trying to think of who else like because most of these hunter like again, unless the hunter themselves mess up pretty badly, you can get at least one killed, unless like
Call me
a mistake
crazy.
happens. Okay.
Call me crazy, but if we're thinking about off meta, we could use Bon, who actually just recently got buffed. Um, I mean, you could
Bonbon could
even,
potentially work.
see like a lizard. I mean, a ripper. You could
Lizard
see a
actually
lot of
does
different
work pretty
things.
well on this map because even if you do go upstairs, he does have a jump and is able just to negate it.
So I mean, we could definitely see a lot of definitely off meta picks. I mean, really curious. We're gonna jump straight into it though. We're gonna see a Seer and a Gravekeeper ban, which are gonna be meta guys. So very, very excited to see that. And we're gonna see Goatman being banned. No one risking it here, knowing if he is chosen, there is no opt out or room for a 4-man escape. Which Abby, I don't know if
Yeah.
you've been keeping up with the finals for I believe it's IVL, right?
I
That's
have a
going on
little bit.
currently.
I have been watching a little bit of it.
I think I saw this wouldn't be the first time, guys. I know it may seem to a surprise to NAEU, but Wolves did 4 escape GW's Hunter on Hullabaloo on Red Church, so
There
it's not
was
really
a
a
goat man
surprise
that nearly got
anymore.
four escape too. I forgot who played, but they got a three escape against a goat man. It was almost a four. Like it was really close. It was really, really close, but they actually got a three escape, which is very surprising.
And then while we were just yapping away, we're gonna see a fire
A
investigator
lawyer?
pick. Shout
You're
out to Soup and like patient being locked in with Cord being banned, and like Abby said, lawyer.
I have not seen a lawyer attorney in so long. Like genuinely, which I personally like lawyer because he has kite. Because like a lot of the other decoders, for example, they're weaker in kite. Like your mechanic, yes, you have bot to bot block, but it's like you don't have the bolting speed or the pallet throwing speed. And then also you just don't have with like composer you have a little bit of speed as well, and like prisoner you have a little bit of kite ability, but I'd say lawyer is the most versatile because you can't get terror shocked. You get
Oh
more journalist again, actually. Oh
wow,
my god.
going for the comfortability play here. Distant survivors really knowing what they excel at. Knowing again they do not, they need a 4 escape to, essentially be set up in a good scenario, or even a draw or even a 3 escape will put them in a really good spot going in around 3 points wise. And like Abby said, I mean, Lawyer is very surprising, but we know his potential and what he can do for the team. Unfortunately, his map is pretty much useless in the beginning of the game because it's not rank
Mhm.
and you know who the hunter is, but
It does give him
allowing
a
for
little
that
bit of movement speed, however, and you just get
movement speed,
if
decoding
you are getting
speed,
chased, yeah, decoding speed as well,
that
vaulting
middle,
speed as well.
yeah, middle of the game, really not knowing kind of, after the first person dies, that's what I call the middle of the game
Yeah.
because that's where really the real decision making of survivors comes into play. And lawyer really, really helps with that, knowing where the hunter is rotating. And right now they're just selecting their talents. And fire investigators build his name heals. Patient is Florian. And journalist not changing up with the journ res, which I assume is rescue. And lawyers running the default. What can he say?
I'm wondering if this journalist is actually going to be like a Sui journalist, like with Tide, but also like maybe like a broken Windows, because journalist actually does still have a lot of high chase potential, and
Oh wow.
she might be one of the only chases, and we're actually gonna have a breaking wheel, but unfortunately, the patient does gain distance with his hooks, and also if
Fire
again
is gonna
because
be a
it
hard
I'm
chase.
gonna say
Whew.
fire is really hard because he just blocks off, and so you're forced to get out of wheel form. And then lawyer's gonna know where you are at all times. So I'd say honestly, the most optimal chase is going to be this
That
journalist
journalist, the only and good
because you
news
just have to
is with
spike
this
her
team,
down.
exactly. And good news with this team is that they're already running 2 tides. So they may have already expected the breaking wheel, so good job. Knowing to not spawn journalist middle is probably going to be the biggest play for this team. And we're almost going to see one of the meta spawn selections coming from these distant
We're gonna see the
survivors.
Z spawn, which is actually a really good spawn into a wheel because whoever spawns at restaurant, which is going to be this patient, has the god window and will ultimately be safe.
And at this point, who do you chase in a scenario like this with these amazing spawns? And keep in mind, guys, goal is to get a 4 escape.
I say you have to chase the journalist. That way you take out a tide, and also again, you just have to spike her, and at worst you just use his Orphe to try body blocking.
Now the thing is I agree, as well as if they do not get a 4 escape, they will lose this round, which in round 3 we will need to see them win for points to even matter. Well, points technically will still matter, but really going into round 4 potentially, I believe, or we may have to go off of time. I'm not really too sure.
It has to go
Maybe
into
someone.
overtime, yeah.
Yeah, that would be very scary to see, but I'm also very excited. I can't believe we forgot about the breaking wheel pick on this map being so vital in NAEU. Good luck to both teams, and we're gonna jump straight into it.
I personally think that this breaking bill is gonna have to chase the journalist. Maybe the lawyer, but then again, the lawyer has hotel and the lawyer knows where you are at all times. And then it depends on where this fire actually spawns in middle, but there is a chair that you can loop against a breaking wheel. And if he does get out of wheel form, then
I
the
think going
fire just
after
balls.
fire would probably be his best option. Um, Even though it's going to be a hard one, that's probably his best route. Or journalist, like you said.
He's actually no, he's routing to the fire.
And that, yeah, and you're going to see him. And he won't be able to make it over to the corner, so he's going to eat a chip here. Oh my
Oh no,
God.
actually he's dodging.
It's
He's really tight
dodging.
kiting.
And then there goes the first one. Will he be able to set up the ball here? No, he's just going to continue
No,
kiting.
he should ultimately set up the ball because that way, oh my, dodges
Oh,
another spike actually.
doing amazing dodges.
Oh my
Oh my, there
god!
goes another one.
This
And
is
there
the
goes
issue
another
with
hit.
breaking wheel. This
Not
is
actually going to
he's
abuse.
actually able to get like kited. Oh, misses a trap.
Keep in mind, he does have knee jerk. Will he vault this window here? And he does. I'm very in awe right now to kind of see what the second ball is going to be placed. Going to be
Why
able
would
to
you put
block
it
this
towards his
off, though.
entranceway? Doesn't
But
actually put
doesn't!
it down.
And dies near basement, but breaking wheels
It's a
typically will
breaking
not share
wheel.
basement. But dies on
Wait, dive
somebody's
on two
cipher.
ciphers. Two ciphers. Actually, wait, is
Oh,
actually sharing basement.
definitely going to see a different play here. I believe due to him having trade up, may be viable. And keep in mind, this breaking wheel is running confined insolence, so he does not get looped. Journalist already coming in for the rescue. You're going to see one cipher is going to pop. The other one is at 60%. Not in a terrible spot. They're definitely going to use Tide
Luckily
to be
enough,
able to get out of this
this fire
basement.
does still have a ball, so he might be able to actually ball off the basement from this wheel. But unfortunately, the fire will be getting hit.
That's okay as long as he could take the
Wait, the journalist
journalist
is
staying
still
down.
in basement, and wheel doesn't opt to hit her. Actually,
Very interesting choice here. I'm a little confused, but that's okay.
yeah. Oh,
You're going to see
okay.
him try to go in for his third ball. Will he be able to pick it up? And it will be broken.
I'm still kind of surprised he didn't actually hit her, but unfortunately, the fire does lose his ball. But he is luckily right next to doubles, or if some people call it connected as well, whatever you might call it. And because of that, this he might be able to actually just run straight back into there.
Keep in
And
mind, he
if
does
so,
have
he
full
can get the
presence,
ball.
and he still has one ball left. He will have to
This
set
fire,
the ball down as soon as possible. so that he does not get snapped.
But this fire is actually not going to be able to because his wheel is doing a really good job on pressuring him, not allowing it. Is able
Gets
to
out
use
of the
vault
snapping
though.
range. Will he be able to vault this window to even get more distance? Unfortunately, he's
No,
not
he
going
won't be
for
able
it.
to. And there is still potential for blink, and he does still have snap.
I believe
Does
snap would
miss
probably
the
be the
does
best play here.
yeah.
Amazing snap by the breaking wheel. Guaranteeing that one is exactly what they needed. These survivors can still get a 3 escape or a draw to set themselves up round 3 to not have as much stress. And we're going to see 4 survivors already pop. This is exactly why Lawyer is so vital in a team comp like this. Also communicating right now mid-game where exactly the hunter is going. Instead is actually decoding, but does have a Sui build, so we're not really too worried. Can't really get the second spike on him. If he does, he will be one hit with Blink being up. Uses flywheel late. Doesn't need to use Blink.
Does a really interesting flywheel. I personally think he probably should have flywheeled the second spike, but personally, you know, it's okay because we still have journalists going in. We do still have that final cipher being worked on, which is currently 50% at the complete other side of the map. So Wheel has to decide if he's going to go pressure cipher or camp, which ultimately he's going to actually camp. So that's going to continue to let the cipher be popped in. Full presence is actually back up, so this puts a bit more pressure on the journalist who does not actually have flywheel, nor has a rescue Orphe anymore. Is
the
actually not
even be able to get
ping.
it. Oh my God, what a game-changing moment here with the cipher already being at 88%. Not being able to get that is definitely going to put the survivors in a tough scenario, but the patient still being able to come get this rescue, may be able to pull something off. Unfortunately, the Lawyer does not have a map anymore. So they're going to have to sell him off. They still might be able to get the one man with the cipher being primed and the breaking wheel not having detention. There goes the snap. Patient at this point just going to have to go ahead and head in and try to pop this cipher as soon as possible. Journalist will be able to pick herself up and does have borrowed time.
And luckily she does still have 3 Orphes as well, but unfortunately it is a breaking wheel, so these won't be utilized as much. Going straight for the cipher, and they're just going to have to end up
At this point, Patient's going to have to pop that. Good news is he does counter him hard here. Journalist going in for the gate, but won't be able to work on it. Really curious to see how she's going to play this here. Will the breaking wheel just get out with Blink being up? Will he even need to use it?
He's not going to.
Let's find out together, guys.
I don't think he's actually going to have to use it. Because then he just baits that, and then he just has another trap. He doesn't actually have to use it, and now Journalist is going to die. And she has no self-heal, if I remember correctly.
No Patient hasn't been able to touch the gate.
It's at 60%.
Wow. A situation that looked like they could get a potential draw is now looking like a 4K because of the breaking wheels decisions. Any gameplay here at the chair. Very, very good hook, like Abby said. But it's not going to amount to much.
It's not going to do anything.
Because he already had one spike on him, and the full presence wouldn't even matter. Hasn't used Blink this whole game. Will we even see it? Well, no, we're not going to see it.
No Blink use at all.
Amazing job by this breaking wheel.
And unfortunately, this journalist has no self-heal, so it's going to ultimately just be a 4K right here.
And so now you're going to see the Cute Girls team going up 10 points, also winning round 2, going into this round 3. Very, very comfortable. At this point, if they could just win round 3, it would be over. If they lose round 3, I believe we will look at points, which, again, these distance players, it's going to be really hard. It's not impossible, though, but it's going to be really hard. Abby, what are your thoughts? How do you see this round 3 going?
I personally think it's more in favor of the Team Cute Girls, solely because of just how well they've been performing because of all their extra, excessive points. And honestly, I feel like if the distance survivors were able to get even just a tie, that would have put them, even if they would have lost a round, it still would have put them in a much better scenario ultimately. But because it was yet another 4K, this is looking really in favor of the Cute Girls team, unless distance somehow pulls out some kind of miracle. And just honestly, that was really well played from the wheel, because even though by the time that the fire was actually dead, there was 4 ciphers popped, he did actually keep on applying pressure to the lawyer who actually, rather than hiding and just did not just kept on decoding and just did not hide, because that's the issue with Breaking Wheel. If you allow him that snowball potential to where if you keep on just decoding and you don't take a second to not even reset but just go hide, because that lawyer, as we saw, just ultimately blew up and messed up Flywheel and just died instantly. And because of that, by the time the journalist went in, she just had no rescue Orphe, so she just ultimately got stuffed. And personally, what I think could have happened was on that first baseman save, the rescue Orphe was not necessary; it wasn't needed. But I understand from the journalist's perspective, she wanted to play it safe. But if she did actually still have that rescue Orphe, it would have been game changing, because even if she still got downed, but the rescue Orphe got the save and ultimately farmed the lawyer, the patient likely would have been either A, the patient would have been able to pop the cipher or have it really close, or B, ultimately what would have happened was the lawyer still would have had a second chair actually. And because of that, that still would have been in favor of the survivors. And journalists just would have had to pick up and either go to the cipher or just keep applying pressure to try to keep the lawyer alive. But because it wasn't after half save, that's just ultimately what sold the game.
Man, it's just big plays being made by big players. Amazing job by both ends. Um, very kind of surprised that the fire investigator did not set up a ball
I
at
know, right?
corner.
I was too. I was really surprised they
Um,
didn't block off restaurant as well when they went in there, and then they got the basement. Which I'm also
as well
very
as
surprised the wheel shared basement. Typically, they don't do that.
yeah, I know someone on the comments had asked. Yeah, wheels do not share basement. I believe the only viable scenario for him to do that is I still have trade up. But the thing is, if you know they have tied, really no point. It's not really going
Yeah,
to guarantee you that double down or even a potential stuff. But you know what? You can see that they definitely learned with that other rescue, clearly. And I think I'm more so surprised that the lawyer had no map left as well.
I know,
Um,
right?
that was also very game changing because you could see the lawyer still decoding, not knowing where the hunter is coming from, looking, around, and then boom, pulls up right behind them. And I think even with that flywheel, at that point, it didn't matter because even if they hit it, they still had two spikes on them with Blink being up. Which again, I've never seen a hunter never use their trait. I mean, kudos to them.
I mean, that was just like the Hullabaloo, who actually never ended up using his blink at not his blink, excuse me, his normal
As
at
admirable,
all,
yeah.
because it was not even utilized at all due to that Enchantress playing really well and actually pulling away from every single cipher imaginable. But honest to God, I'm really genuinely shocked that blink was never used. But at the same time, he never really did have to actually use it because he had most of the distance on the survivors, and he either had spikes on them already at that point. So because of that, he didn't need to he could just easily trap them. He didn't need to actually, use blink to gain any distance because he already did have that distance. And if there was distance made, he just trapped. So really well played by that wheel, honestly.
I think I'm more so surprised that not only did the fire essentially not use the balls at the corner, like how most would, but how long he was kiting for with that one pallet in a dream.
I
I'm
know,
more
and
so
it actually was
surprised.
working.
How, it almost makes you question how is that possible for a survivor to do that, last this long with literally a pallet in a dream. But clear they know a couple more things that we don't, and I mean, amazing job to them. And
Yeah.
we're gonna jump straight into round three. If you guys do not already know, which you shouldn't, but we'll tell you anyways. We're gonna see a moonlit pick, I believe, going to be round three, and that is due to Arms Factory being banned, which makes sense. Don't want to choose a small map. Want to allow a big map for a potential comeback, if I do say so myself. And Moonlit's one of those maps. If you haven't practiced it a lot, your Cypher Rush will be guaranteed slow.
Yeah.
Um, unfortunately. So, I mean, that's a very, very good play by both ends, banning arms and picking Moonlit. But also, they might have a route with it based off of the hunter and what they get. So I'm very excited to see, what exactly gets played. But it does look like Cute Girl Survivors will be going first again. Not sure if that's surprising, but for sure exciting, I'd say, to say the least. And seeing what they're going to opt in, are we going to see? What are we going to see? What do you think, Abby? What are we going to see round 3 coming
Okay,
from
I know I've been saying Wu Chang since
Alex?
round 2, but honest to God, I think Wu Chang would be very viable on this map because Wu Chang just has, honestly, Moonlit is just his playground, honestly. Like, most Wu Changs will just run, they'll run the inso and they'll run the detention, and
And they'll run that
because,
blink.
I was saying, run that blink, and because he just has an umbrella, you don't really necessarily need teleport. Some Wu Changs I know opts for it, but personally, I don't believe you need it. And also, he just, even though it's a big map, he just gains that distance through his umbrella. And again, with the persona trait change, I think he really could actually do fairly well on this map. I'd say either that, Wu Chang, or we could potentially see a clown as well. Clown does work pretty well on this map as well, especially
Moonlit. Mm-hmm.
with his change as well, because Clown
With his new
did, as
buffs.
I must say, he got his buffs, and even if his dash is canceled, like he just gets his parts back so fast it doesn't even matter. And we're gonna see, unfortunately, a first officer ban. I'm very sad. And we're gonna see a mechanic ban. Therefore, there won't be a lot of more decoding unless they opt for a prisoner possibly for that
And as far as the
global decoding.
hunters, we're going to see Opera being the wild card chosen here, which is not a bad pick because Opera is pretty strong on Moonlit, like Abby was just about to say. So, I mean, I'm excited. Don't hear Abby out. Wu Chang wouldn't be bad. In this case, Alex would need a 4K for them to be tied in points. And I believe that the survivors would also need to get a 4 escape. Let me know if I'm wrong, Abby.
I'm pretty sure you're correct. And honest to God, I think this hunter really can't afford to get a 3K. I think he honestly needs to gun for that 4K just to tie, because honestly, that's what he really needs right now to try to get that lead back to his team, or at least make it more, I'd say, even, because if he gets anything less than a 3K, then the other team, aka Cute Girls, will be like, oh, okay, so we don't have to fight for that much, and they'll feel more comfortable. And if the hunter does actually get a 4K, then that's gonna have the team Cute Girls worrying, and as long as they worry, that can actually be an advantage to distance, because they're like, oh, well, we can actually capitalize off of this. So I'd say this hunter needs to shoot for no less than a 4K. And he is going to ban that magician, who will be a pretty strong fighter, but unfortunately, he did allow not only an acro, but a priestess on Moonlit, which acro 4-stop is busted. And we're also going to have a forward who will actually be able to have a really strong harass. And we're actually going to see a night ban. So I'm actually kind of surprised about night ban. You don't see night ban as much anymore.
And that's not only talking about Acrobat being busted, the one and only Priestess.
I was about to say, no, Priestess is disgusting. She has so much distance, and it's honestly, there is a potential for actually, no, I completely forgot. No, Hullabaloo is global ban. I was gonna say Hullabaloo can actually kind of counter the Priestess over the bridge, but because he did actually go Hullabaloo round 2.
We're gonna see a fire pick as well.
Fire investigator as well.
Exactly. So thank you for picking fire. But also, if the hunter, and the survivors play normally, we're gonna see more than likely Acrobat 4-stop, Priestess 2-story, forward at bridge, and then fire wherever he chooses to spawn, probably first stop. So at least a hunter, depending on who they pick, knows which way to go. Unless these survivors have a game plan on Moonlit. But keep in mind, Q Girls was the one that chose the map. So they may have been practicing Moonlit, guys. We're going to find out. I think Ford is a little bit of a risky play because of his decoding. But in a scenario like this, Ford is good for Cute Girls because they just need to guarantee a 1 at this point. If these survivors get a 1-man, I do believe it's chopped cheddar cheese with a side of biscuit, as per Abby's request.
Yo, okay. Yeah, honest to God, as long as they get a 1-man escape, which with this team comp, realistically, they probably will actually be able to get that, unless the hunter.
Very high.
I must say, very highly likely.
Unless this hunter goes for something really unique. Well. Yep, really well, and something unique that
will be Lizard,
which is definitely viable on this map. Very strong. But against forward, depending on how he plays it, and if he brings peepers or not, maybe game changer. We won't know until we see. But that does counter two-story at this point. Nothing to worry about. As well as acrobat, depending on how well he is at four-stop, could also potentially be countered. I'm very excited to see how they play this here. And I believe we will not be going in overtime no matter what. We'll go by time or potentially overtime. But at this point, as long as they guarantee a one-man, it doesn't matter. I don't even think the distance survivors have to play. But we're not going to worry about those things right now. We're all going to cheer on distance and believe that this lizard can get a 4 kill. And you guys will cheer on the cute girls as well, that they'll get this one man. And like I said earlier, spawns already being predetermined, kind of common sense here. So will this lizard opt into going straight for the priestess or acro? What do you think, Abby?
Okay, well, first off, you're definitely not going to want to chase an acro 4-stop. That's honestly a death wish. You will get kited no matter what. So I think, honestly, they're going to opt for chasing the priestess because she will eventually run out of portals, and she's only going to have to really, depending on her rotation, she will have God Kite to work with. But luckily enough for Lizard, he does have, the ability to jump, and so he can easily just scale over those walls and try to catch this priestess by surprise. I'm actually really surprised that the lizard didn't spawn a tile above priestess because most times you will see lizards go that spawn because they will just jump right into two-story. Yeah, right? Because that way you force the priestess away from
to stay downstairs,
the right side of the
upstairs.
map. Yeah, you force her from the right side of the map, and you'll force her towards the other ciphers being worked on, and because of that, you will actually potentially see a 3-cipher link, which, although Lizard is not a hunter like, an Ivy or with a high camp or high pressure, I should say, or an Opera with high mobility, he still does have, a lot of jumping to do, especially if by then he likely would be full presence. So that would be ideal for him if it is a 3-cipher layout.
But we're about to find out here, guys. Very excited to see how this lizard is going to play and who they are going to chase. I think in a scenario like this, Priestess wouldn't be bad, but if they really want to test acrobat skills at 4-stop, I'm not going to say no. Even forward could be viable. It just really depends on how he wants to play it. Again, he does need to get a 4 escape. Looks like he is not moving, even though the match has started. And there he goes. Starting a little bit late. That's perfectly fine. Happens to everybody. Remember, the fire investigator does have to rotate, so it's going to be late ciphers. But no worries. Priest is doing an amazing counter rotation here. Thinking that the hunter at this point might switch. Being a little bit lost.
But he's actually lost, and he might be checking basement thinking she's going to hide there. No, actually, he's going to check Godkite, but he's completely lost.
And has no tinnitus.
He does not know where the priestess went, and she completely counter-rotated to working carousel side of the map. So now he's going to be forced to chase the... who's this? This is the fire investigator.
And I don't know about you, but... not seeing the typical meta picks. I mean, this is making this real exciting. Will he be able to get on with him? And he does! Keep in mind, this fire investigator is running tide only, so I'm very curious to see which way he goes. And the lizard goes the wrong way and uses the ball.
And just stands there.
Job.
And this actually allows the fire to get into 2-story. Trait is up now, however.
Exactly, does have blink, but look at these ciphers already being 80% and 70. He may be able to blink Terror Shock here depending on how he plays it. Will he be able to see it coming? And he doesn't get the Terror Shock. Amazing job by the fire investigator. Going to be able to loop his second ball that he has set up and is going to die first stop. He will not be able to catch up. The first hit being blink is very vital. Cute Girl's doing an amazing rotation and amazing kite by this fire investigator right now. Abby, what are your thoughts on a potential possibility for a 4K now with the third cipher about to be popped?
Dodges the hit, and ultimately dodges another hit, actually. I don't really think this will be a 4K potential, unless somehow the survivors do make a really grave mistake that this hunter is able to capitalize from. Really good jump and is actually able to down the fire investigator.
And the forward is already over.
There is already forward on the way. He's already close nearby. And we do have the potential for a global portal, which actually is being set up by the priestess currently. and we have the Acrobat working on one of the final ciphers. We do have a global portal set up, so there is a potential.
Which is going to put the Hunter...
The Hunter actually does just go break it, and that way the forward actually just instantly gets this save for free.
Oh!
No, wait,
does an amazing job! By not being able to dodge that, I think in this situation, the survivors did an amazing job putting the Hunter in a sticky situation because he had to make a choice going for a free rescue or destroying the global portal. But somehow, it's going to be an after-half rescue. Exactly, but they still are working on one of the ciphers and they only have one left. Amazing job. At this point, I think Lizard has to commit to forward and make a decision now if he does want a 4K. And the priest is rotating in but won't be able to make the rescue. Did he see where forward rotated or did he not?
I'm genuinely surprised he actually did not get that save.
Won't commit.
Unfortunately, like I did mention earlier, they now do have that 3 cipher lock. They are 3 ciphered, and because of that, that does put the survivors at a little bit of a disadvantage. But luckily enough, everyone is actually healed up. We're gonna see the blink and actually get the hit on the priestess, and
some
jump
subtle
is
things
still
to
readily
notice
available.
is the forward did get a syringe from the chest and is healed up with about 35% of football left. They are trying to rush 1 cipher, which is in the middle of the 3 cipher lock, which isn't the smartest play. You want to try to do the 2-story and first stop just because you're in a sticky situation. Amazing football by this forward. And again, they're just playing cat and mouse right now. Very curious to see what they're going to do here. Priestess still does have knee jerk, flywheel, and 2 portals to work with. One being up already.
They need to work on not giving this final hit because if you guys can notice that this reptilian, this lizard, he's actually not at full presence just yet, and so therefore he can't keep infinite jumping. But unfortunately, fortunately the priestess does dodge the crash, but unfortunately she does hit. So now our hunter does actually have full presence, and because of that he can actually infinite jump, which will allow him to cover more ground more efficiently. And that's exactly what we're going to see him do.
And he's going to put pressure on this last cipher, noticing it's not that much, but not wanting them to work on it. Going to bleed out the priestess so that she does use her self-heal or forces the forward to go over there on her. Acrobat going to be one of the hardest chases for this lizard, but is still going to commit anyways. We're going to see the flywheel not even needing to be used because it was an amazing jump.
Unfortunately, the priestess does use self-heal pretty early, and now that's going to force the chase back on her. And these ciphers are only about 30%, so priestess is opting to try to hide for now to try to avoid the lizard. And luckily enough, he actually did not notice her and is going to go back and place pressure. And he has no energy,
that's
so
already
he can't keep on
57%.
infinite gushing.
Yep, keep in mind he does have trump cards, so I'm very curious to see how he's going to play this here. At this point, completely missing the forward, going to allow him to continue to decode. We're going to be in the same scenario we were in before about 30 seconds ago. Except for the priestess is up with 3 portals.
The priestess is now also pressuring first stop as well.
An amazing ball, which is actually going to hit him as well with the mud. Fantastic job here. And
now
then you're going to see
the pressure to the priestess who is half health. But
you're going to see a warp switch. And keep in mind, the cipher that's being worked on is 2-story, which is 85%. They may be able to just pop right here. They may have to just commit. Nope, they're going to completely rotate, being very patient by these survivors.
Oh, runs back into the lizard and actually is able to give the hit. So that's actually really good for lizards. So now the only person that realistically can rescue is the acrobat.
Very curious to see how they're going to play this here. Remember, they do have accelerated decoding with priestess on it, already being at 60%. At this point, you might just have to commit to the forward. If you can get it early down, you force a potential stuff on rescue.
Able to amazing use ball and get away.
By this
and luckily enough, forward actually does have fast vaulting and fast pallet throwing, so he is actually able to efficiently buy some time, but actually does get hit through the pallet.
At that point, playing it a little bit risky with both ciphers almost being prime. They did set up the global, so the cipher that is 98% will be able to get worked on, but he will put pressure on the cipher.
Priestess actually have to go back and keep on working on the other cipher, and that's actually really good for the survivors because she will already be set up at gate. So that
if he will be able to stuff this, if he can stuff this rescue, it might be game changing.
He has no jump, so there is no potential for a stuff unless there is a potential terror shock.
With acrobat having flywheel up, there really is no way. Once jump goes, they're gonna have to pop it. Actually misses. and is staring at the
That's
ciphers, and they're just
definitely.
gonna pop, taking a moment of that Hunter, you know, lagging a bit mind-wise, but that's okay because the survivors are on top of it, like
Oh,
white on rice.
Priestess is actually able to start opening the gate, and luckily, this will actually potentially be a two-man escape. And this
It's looking
forward
like
is doing
it could
really
go.
good on kiting this lizard, and
Maybe
there actually
potentially
might
a
be a
three
potential
escape.
three. Oh,
Oh,
unfortunately, falls for the pilot mind game and dies. But luckily enough, there's gonna actually be a two escape, and this should be, if again my math serves me correct, this should be a win for Cute Girls.
gonna be a win for cute girls. I think at this point, it's just gonna be the teams deciding whether distant survivors want to get experience and continue playing, as well as does the other hunter want to continue playing. Second half is not required, but they can be played if they choose to. But that, guys, is going to be a GG. Very, very exciting gameplay from both teams. Seeing a Lizard today, a Mad Eyes, a
A
Percy,
Percy, a round
a
one Percy, mind you.
Hullabaloo. It's just very, very exciting gameplay from both ends. Who else did we see? Oh, and a breaking wheel as well. How could I forget? That was
The
probably my
breaking wheel
highlight of the
that actually,
match.
I want to say no, that breaking wheel did so good because even though he
It should have been a
technically
draw.
got kited, yeah, that realistically was a tie, but unfortunately mistakes did unfortunately occur, which that does happen, and if it's a breaking wheel, he just capitalizes off those mistakes.
Oh my goodness. What a game changing. It was thrilling. It was exciting. It was exhilarating to not just watch the same old stuff. It almost felt like something that felt like a dream. I mean, even think about it there. If the forward doesn't get baited, that could have easily been a potential three man, just showing how strong these cute girl survivors are and that you're going to have to pull off something strong to go against them when they chose, you know, picks that are comfortable for them. And I think what was really the game changer there was going to be Priestess rotating insanely. It's really that simple. Any final
Yeah,
thoughts,
no,
Abby? Because I do
no,
not believe that they're going to be
that
running.
rotation, no. I don't know if the person who's playing Priestess is watching this stream, but if they are, they genuinely did so good with that rotation because, as you could see, the lizard was genuinely just so lost, had no idea where she was whatsoever. And because of that, it actually did, she was able to go to code and it did force chase on a not so good target. And the Fire was able to actually utilize his balls really well, especially at second stop, which ensured he got into two story. And because of that, it honestly really worked really well into the survivors. The only mistake or only mishap was you know, the forward, and he used ball because he wanted to try to get that no damage rescue, which that would have been really great in hindsight. Just unfortunately, because of the small stagger you have due to using your football, that did allow the lizard to catch up and ultimately crash down on the forward, which actually did not allow that save to happen whatsoever. But
Which was essentially game changing. And I feel like it almost felt like the forward was on the edge of that jump. So should Lizard have hit that? I'm not sure, but it definitely kept him in the game to potentially get a 4K, but we did not see it happen. But both sides played really well. Um, Amazing job by both teams. I'm even more surprised that the forward wasn't rattled, Abby, even with not getting that rescue, still played, excuse my French, their ass off. And I mean, just
I know.
kudos to both of them.
No, that lizard played it well because he ultimately just did not allow a rescue to happen, which that did actually put the game in his favor. But unfortunately,
Couldn't
that didn't really
capitalize on
matter.
it.
It didn't really matter, honestly, because the survivors played it so well, and even though they were three cipher locked, again, it's a lizard. It's not like a strong, pressure hunter like your Ivy or anything. So because of that, there was a cipher in two stories. So you have to go all the way into two story, then go all the way back to first stop. The survivors were able to capitalize and were able to actually, span out their ciphers really, really well, especially that priestess who actually was able to hide at first up, not get found after using her self heal pretty early. And due to that, she was just able to live and keep on pressuring that first cipher.
It was definitely exciting and thrilling to watch how Priestess played it, how Forward played it, how the Lizard played it. I mean, to play cat and mouse like that is just nothing you can teach somebody They have to really understand IDV as a whole. So really kudos to the survivors, especially with that last match, knowing that they at least needed one man out, pick characters they were comfortable with, are strong, no matter what meta or non-meta pick chosen. And again, I'm more surprised than anything. NAU has came a long way, so GG's to both teams. The Lizard tried his best, but hopefully they go back, watch the matches, and improve. Because I would love to see them play again. Because wow,
No, ultimately, that Lizard did give it their all and do their very best. It was just really unfortunate that not only were they AFK for a few seconds at the beginning, but they also just ultimately lost the Priestess. The Priestess did a really good counter rotation. And because due to it being Priestess, she's just able to just make so much distance with her portals, especially across the bridge. So because of that, even if he did ultimately realize, she just would have had so much distance, it wouldn't have been worth it. And if he was to go to that side of the map, it's either you chase the acrobat who can abuse force stop, or you have to chase the forwards who, if you just jump on him, he's just going to
he's
use
just
ball to
gonna
get
football.
away.
Yep, if used properly, which we did see in this
Yes.
game. But that's gonna be it for the matches here today. Is there anything else you want to say, Abby, before we go ahead and let everybody else free?
All I want to say is thank you for the round one Mad Eyes. I'm so happy. And thank you for the Percy. The Percy gameplay, I'm like still genuinely shocked. I have no words. That was really, really impressive. Like, it was really unfortunate for the survivors that their team comp was just really poor into, a Percy. You have both a novelist who's really not able to rotate anywhere, and then you have a professor who can't even block the dash with his scale. So ultimately, that Percy just capitalized off of it and did some really, really nice jump spots, which I've never really seen Percy's hit really good jumps like that. Like, he was jumping over those walls and those pallets with ease. It was crazy. What was your
Yeah,
favorite
that
match?
probably the breaking wheel, just because big plays needed to be made and they did, which in turn put the Hunter in such a good spot. But like you said, individually wise, as far as abilities, Percy did fantastic. Um, just using all of his abilities correct. Mad Eyes did fantastic using his walls correctly. I mean, securing a tie round one is so crucial, because then it really goes into show the depth of how far these survivors and hunters think, because now they do have to go into round three, which some teams don't plan for. But that's going to be it from us, guys. We love each and every one of you guys coming to show up and support.
Thank you
GG's to
so
both
much.
teams. Of
GG's.
course. And you know what I'm going to say, so I'll let you say what you have to say if you need to make your piece.
It's all good. Say the catchphrase.
I'm Numer, and that's Abby, and we're out.